Hey there everybody, this is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage, and you are looking at the sewing cabinet that I've been showing off quite a bit lately in my videos. This of course is the cabinet that holds the white Rotary, the machine that's had a full restoration. And now you are looking at, I'm showing you the table again because in the last video on this table I was showing you how I was filling in some of the areas that have been exposed or worn as a result of years of use. And again, I have no idea, one of them had a little circle area here, and there were some other areas where there was a lot less lacquer or sealing of the wood than there should be. And I had mentioned also that Restore Finish is really good for filling in minor imperfections and scratches, but when you have areas that are exposed to wood, that don't have a lot of sealing in the wood pores, you will get a very deep darkening effect, just as you would with a wood stain, and you end up with sort of dark splotches. And if that may or may not be an issue to you, but in order to mitigate that, I have been using, and you saw this in the last video, this product, which is a shellac. It is made by the Zinsser company. It's called Zinsser Bullseye Shellac. It's been around a long time, and you can find it in hardware stores. You can find it in the big box home centers. They typically sell, larger containers of it. And it also depends on where. For example, if you're in the US, there may be VOC laws that limit it. This is a specialty product, so it may still be available in your area. In any case, what I've been using it for as a bit of a kind of a sanding sealer, although I'm not actually doing any sanding on these tables. And the purpose of sanding sealer traditionally was to correct some of the porosity of the wood so that you would get a more even distribution of color and sealant, the final sealant. So anyway, if you recall last time, I put one coat of this in the areas that were exposed, and you can see here it filled them in, and even though it's dry, it didn't change back to the light shade. And so I done this on the maple table that holds the little Singer 185J, and now we're going to try it on a table that was created either by the White Sewing Machine Company, which is entirely possible. Singer for many years made their own cabinets, had their own carpenters, woodworkers. But, and now I'm going to go back with the Restore Finish. This is the walnut color. They also have a dark walnut. They have a number of colors you can pick. I have most of them. So I'm just going to put on some gloves here, and I am going to do to this table what I did to the maple table the other day, so you guys can see how this works. Well, now that I have sealed in those areas. I know it seems like, being nitpicky, but again, the purpose of this, none of this has taken a lot of time. As I mentioned before, we are not refinishing. We're simply sprucing up finishes that have really, not necessarily been given the love they should have been given over the years. And but just like the machines, they are quite forgiving. So the first thing I'm going to do is, you may recall when I've been talking about this product before, you don't want to pour it on the wood. You want to put it onto a rag. This is an old rag. As long as it's clean, it should be fine. Now I'm going to come over here. I'll start in the back, sort of come across. I'm just getting the product in, and again, I know what I want to do. I want to give you guys more of an aerial view of this. You'll be able to see more of the changes, which I think is helpful. You may have seen them before. Okay, I wanted to move the camera for you because sometimes the angle that you're viewing this affects what you see, especially when you're doing any kind of treating or finishing for wood. And remember what I had mentioned to you guys before is that products like this, and certainly wood stains, are very similar. You really need to kind of shake them regularly as you're using them, because they will settle. The color will settle out fast. It's just the nature of it. And it's surprising, you know, I don't have to use a ton of this stuff. It's pretty effective. Of course, you want to ventilate really well anytime you're using this. Now, this may look like it's giving sort of a wetting or darkening, but that's okay. It's not darkening it that much, but it is sort of, I guess you might say, rejuvenating the finish. And we'll start with this, with the soft rag, and see what kind of results we get. And then I can go back with the little nylon scrub pad, and these little scratches in the back just really just vanish. This product is particularly adept at getting those little bumps and scratches to go away. Any kind of deep gouges, you know, it's not necessarily going to make a difference there. Let's turn the view over here, give you guys a little bit better view of what I'm doing. And again, I can see the areas that I filled in with the shellac, and there's some color here. It's not as actually dark as it appears on the camera. I know that sounds silly, but I can tell you, if I had not filled in with the shellac, these areas would be much darker. Okay, so they would look a little less natural, if you will, if I can use that term. And I'm really happy with how this particular area that was exposed turned out. You know, I was adding the shellac to it, and I'm really pleased with that. So again, the shellac sealer acts as sort of a filler before you go in with the color. You're going to get some of the darkening, and that's probably just inevitable, but this mitigates it to an extent, and I think it's worth it. You know, it's a little half pint of shellac, very low cost, and very low, not just cost in material, but time. You know, I haven't really had to, you know, invest tremendous amounts of time in this, because that's one of the things that really can cause people to hesitate on older pieces of furniture, because they don't want to strip or refinish them. Some of you do, to be sure, but good grief, it's not for everyone. We'll put it that way, and that's not really the point of these projects, right? We want to save things and save as much of the original product as we can. By the way, I don't know if you guys can see this. This looks like some form of paint. I suspect it's water-based, but regardless, if I take a little bit of this nylon scrub pad, this product helps remove some of this surface paint, and I think that's kind of nice, because it does it without, you know, stripping the finish or damaging it, because that's the last thing you want. And I may get some steel wool to come back over this to see if I want to, you know, give it any more sort of a micro abrasion. But I believe this is dramatically better than what we had when we started, and that is kind of the point, is to give sort of a rejuvenation to the finish, if you will. And it's kind of funny, in today's light, we've got kind of a hazy day out there, and it's a much more warm and golden tone than what appears on the camera. That's one of the downsides when you're trying to film or even photograph wood. It's a tricky thing if you ever do it, because of the way it reflects and refracts light. But anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. I will be finishing up this table and just going over it with the Restore finish. Most of the areas don't even have scratches, the sides and the back. And then it'll get a final coat of feed and wax, and it'll be ready for whoever the customer is that decides to purchase that wonderful white Rotary that's hiding inside. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Giving you just another angle, and you can see how the color and the tone of the wood changes when you change the angle, and that's why I moved the camera, because with the aerial view it looked quite different, And of course, when the clouds go away and we get more sunlight, it will change again. And that's true of all colors, but particularly with tones in wood. But just a beautiful walnut cabinet, and would have cost someone a pretty penny back in the day. But we've given it some love, and like I said, once I've wiped off any of this excess, I'll go back with the feed and wax, and it'll give it even more luster, and it will also feed the wood, which is probably somewhat dry, you know, from the days when it was made in the 1940s. And we don't know when it was last polished, but we do now, because it's going to get its long-deserved service and maintenance, just like the sewing machines do. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy the weekend, and watch out for more videos, which should be coming up soon. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions, put them in the comments below. Thank you, everyone.